If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Alright, so I already have a primer on. I used the Rare Beauty Illuminating Primer. This was one of the ones that launched originally when the line came out, not the newest one that was just recently dropped. So that's the primer that I've got on. And then I have lip balm on as well. This one is from Laneige. It's the new lip treatment balm. I love the packaging. Like, it's got its own little applicator. It's got its own little home right in the lid. Just slides in there. You can just scoop it out. It smells divine. It smells like an actual pina colada. It's so nice. So that's what I've got going on already. But going forward in this video, I'm not going to be talking about all the other individual items that I'm putting on because I just get myself confused. I end up veering into reviews instead of talking about the topic at hand, and it just becomes a mess for everybody. So I will list everything down below in case there are any items that you're curious about, but otherwise I'm just going to focus on what it is that I want to talk about today. I've been putting off doing this video, and I think honestly what my problem was that I was just getting too into my own head about it. I kept trying to structure it and trying to like figure out what all the questions people might be, and trying to sort of predict everything that I should talk about, and almost to the point of scripting it out. And then I kind of just took a step back and realized, like, I've never done that with any of my other update videos. And one of the things that people consistently comment on the videos in this entire gastric bypass playlist that I have is that they appreciate how honest and sort of real I am about it. And so I got to thinking, if I just try to script everything out and have like all of my talking points listed out in front of me, I'm going to lose some of that organicness, I guess. So I don't really have any particular talking points planned out. I don't even really know where our conversation today is going to go. But I did want to give you guys an update because it has been several months since I did my last one. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, just nothing really had changed all that much. I'm now technically 19 months out, but we're going to call it 18 months just because I don't think people are going to be searching for 19-month updates more so than 18 months, you know what I mean? So we're playing a little fast and loose with the timelines in the title of this video, but nothing's changed between this month and last month. So just go with me on that one. But nothing has really changed all that much since my 1-year update, to be honest. So there's a few things that have remained the same. One, I still don't have any regrets for having done this surgery. I was saying to my husband a little while ago, like, there's a particularly stressful day, and I was saying, you know, I have no regrets, but every once in a blue moon, I do wish that I could soothe myself with like a massive dose of carbs. But I didn't. That's just a thought that popped into my head, and that right there shows what a night and day difference this surgery has made in my life, truly. Because every time I had any sort of stressful day, even if it wasn't a particularly stressful day, I was just like, carbs, it's a pizza night, I need pizza. Like, and then I would do that and I would eat an entire pizza. Like, it just, life is so much different now in that sense. And so I find that rather than soothe eating or celebratory eating or lonely eating or any other sort of emotional eating, I take a lot of baths now. I do a lot of running. I sit down and do videos. Like, I have much different ways of channeling all of those emotions now, and I don't miss binging to soothe myself or to cope with any sort of emotion that I'm going through. I don't miss it. And I remember heading into the surgery, I was so concerned that I would miss it and that I would be like a dog in a trap, or an animal in a trap. I don't know what kind of animal gets stuck in a trap, but anyways, an animal in a trap that like gnaws its own paw off. I thought that was going to be the rest of my life, and I was genuinely concerned about that. And I have to say, I mean, 18 months since surgery, and I don't have that. So while sometimes, every once in a blue moon, a little fleeting thought will pop into my head of, man, it'd be really nice to eat like a great big bowl of pasta right now. Just as soon as it pops in, it's gone. And I think the difference really is, I've been forced over the last year and a half to actually feel my emotions and deal with them in a much like healthier and safer way. But also, it's just not an option. If I sat down and ate a big bowl of pasta, or if I ate an entire pizza like I used to, I would be so physically sick and I would have such pain in my stomach that knowing that, I'm just like, nothing is worth that. Like, it's not worth it. So it's just not even in the realm of reality for me. So it's very easy to just like say no to that. So like I'm on forums, or a forum through Facebook, the Bariatric bariatric group. And you see people in there at all different stages of surgery and recovery and leading up to and after and all of this kind of thing. And every now and then you see people post questions like that of, how do you deal with missing these foods and all of that. And honestly, a lot of the foods I just don't miss. I really don't, because you basically develop an aversion. It's like when you, I don't know, I remember as a kid, I ate, what was it? We call it tortilla up here in Canada, but like meat pie, basically. And I managed to come down with the stomach flu that same evening. And for the rest of time, I mean, we're talking, it's been over 30 years since that happened, and there's absolutely no correlation between meat pie and me having the stomach flu. But in my mind, that meat pie was 100% entirely responsible for how I felt and how sick I got. And I have never eaten it since. And I never will. Like, I just definitively know I will never eat it. And so the same kind of thing happens with this surgery. Like, there's certain foods, for example, steak. I love steak. I love it. But it hurts my stomach. I may as well go out and gather rocks from my driveway and just swallow those whole. That's what it feels like to me to eat steak now. So while in the past I loved it, and while if things were different, I would eat it, things aren't different. I know that it's going to hurt. So it never occurs to me to be like, I really want steak tonight, because I know that it's going to hurt. So I have not spent any time being miserable over what foods I miss, because I really don't miss anything. There are some foods that I still haven't tried since surgery. So for example, bagels, haven't tried them. I don't want to say that I was addicted to bagels, because I certainly wasn't. I believe strongly that I had a food addiction, but I don't think it was anything specific, like I'm addicted to bagels. Like that would be a very specific addiction. But I ate bagels all the time. Like at least 3 days a week, I would say. At least 3 or 4 days a week, I would have a bagel for breakfast. And they don't bring anything to the table. They don't really bring any nutrition to the table. And I might be able to handle them. I don't really know. I am terrified of trying a bagel and finding out that my body's like, yeah, we can do this. You know what I mean? Because then it's just a window that's open. And then on a day where I'm in a rush and I don't have time to like make a breakfast at home, or if I'm just looking for some comfort from carbs, I will know that I can tolerate bagels. I'll be like, let's get a bagel. I don't want that. I would rather live with the fear of bagels in me and having never eaten them again since surgery than try one and realize that, yeah, it's totally fine. I don't know if that makes sense, but there are some foods that I'm just like, you know what? I'm better off not even having them in my life, so I'm not even going to try it. Okay, I'm going to blend this out and then we will come back for blush. Now, another thing that hasn't really changed all that much since I did my last weight loss update is my actual weight. So this has been a bit of a journey for me. And I mean, we're talking since August, I guess, of 2020. My weight has kind of bounced around the same 3, maybe 4 pounds. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, but it's always within that same set of numbers. Like it's always within about 4 pounds of itself. And so at first I got frustrated. And then I went through a period of thinking, well, here we go. It was been a fun ride, but now I'm going to gain it all back. And now here I am. And it's been, what is that? I guess 6 months or so since I stopped actively losing, and I just kind of fluctuate. I don't want to say that I yo-yo, because I feel like a 4-pound range is pretty realistic and pretty normal. And that in and of itself, honestly, is a bit of a revelation for me, because I've never considered myself or my weight to be normal. Like it's always been heading in one direction or another. Like it's always, I've lost a bit of weight and now here it comes again. And then I start losing again, then here it goes. You know what I mean? Like all throughout my life, that's what it's been, but to a much greater extent, where it's like, okay, well, I've lost 40 pounds, but now I'm going to gain 60, and then I'll lose 20, but then I'm going to gain 40. Like literally, that's sort of what it is. So to just have normal fluctuations has honestly been a really interesting experience for me. And I kind of had to just learn to trust myself with it. Like I kind of had to just be like, you know what? Let's stop obsessing over the scale. And I was an obsessive weigher of myself. I would go on there at least once a day, sometimes more than once. In the comments, please, let me know. Either by like hands up emoji or just in words, totally fine. Does anybody else weigh themselves after they use the bathroom just to see what kind of difference it makes? Or is that just me? Because I did that a lot. Like I would weigh myself very, very first thing in the morning, then I would use the bathroom, weigh myself again and be like, nah, success. So I don't do that anymore. That's lovely. And I will literally go a week or 2 without weighing myself. And it's not even like I've made a concerted effort not to weigh myself. I just don't think about doing it, because the hold that that number had on me is a lot less than it ever used to be. And that in and of itself is worth its weight in gold. It's amazing. It's so freeing. I think that's sort of a common theme in these videos that I do, is just talking about how much more free I feel now. And I mean that in every sense of the word. I mean, physically, yes, I can fit into spaces I couldn't fit in before. I can sit on chairs that, you know, had a max weight capacity that I would far exceeded before, you know, things like that. But emotionally and mentally, it's so much better. It just, I've talked about this so many times in my videos, and I'm afraid that I just sound like a broken record, but you have to understand, I spent the vast majority of my waking hours criticizing myself, planning what I was going to do, being frustrated with myself that I didn't follow the plan the previous day, comparing myself to others, wishing I looked like somebody else or behaved like somebody else or ate like somebody else or had the willpower of somebody else. Like, it took up so much emotional energy, so much. And so the fact that I can now focus that energy on other things, not always necessarily positive. I don't want to give the impression that this is being like a total lifestyle overhaul and I'm free of the anxiety and depression that I have suffered for years. I still take medication to handle all that thing. It's just that I now worry about things like, what happens if my children die, instead of, will that chair collapse underneath me? You know what I mean? Like I focus on things that actually matter, but I still do focus on them far more than what I think the average person does. So pharmaceuticals for the win. But what was the point? What was the rabbit hole that I was going down with this? Oh yes, I am much more free. And that even translates into ridiculous things. So, for example, if you have watched my videos before, you might notice that I have a rather eclectic collection of earrings. There are some that I guarantee you I would never have even considered buying when I weighed more than 300 pounds. For example, I have one just sitting out here. Hamburger earrings. They're adorable. They're huge. They're adorable. There is absolutely no way that at 300 pounds I would have ever dared to wear them, because in my mind, everybody would be like, you know, if you just walked away from the burgers, maybe you wouldn't weigh over 300 pounds. Maybe nobody would ever do that. I'll never know now. But I was doing it to myself on behalf of other people and just assigning it to other people. So just in that sense, everything is freer as well. And so just emotionally, I feel better. And I'm going to finish this thought, but I finished my face, so I want to prime my eyes, and then we are going to finish this thought. So I'll be right back. And we're back, and a little bit closer just so you can see the eyes a little bit better. As I was priming them, I'm sitting there chanting in my head, wait, hasn't changed, just so that I didn't forget what it was that I was talking about. Because, as I was saying, at first, it kind of freaked me out because my pattern throughout my adult life has been lose some weight, enjoy the success, start gaining weight, give up entirely. And that was sort of the mindset, was like, oh, okay, well, I failed. Haven't reached my goal weight. I'm not losing anymore, so I guess I failed. And it's taken a little while to get past that and to sort of have a bit of a shift in thinking. But now I'm happy to say I have not failed. I am maintaining. In my life, I've never maintained a weight loss, especially not for 6 months. Like, I know that at the end of the day, 6 months is really not a grand length of time, but it is for me. It really is, based on my history of weight loss attempts. So I'm just like, in my mind, I still have about 30 pounds ideally that I would like to lose. I am aware of how much fat still remains on my body, and I feel that 30 pounds is realistic. So while I don't think of myself as being done my weight loss journey, I'm still just like viewing this not necessarily as a stall per se, but I'm maintaining right now. And like I said earlier, I think that 4-pound fluctuation is totally healthy. Like, I'm not concerned about it anymore. But all of my clothes still fit the same, and what I think is making the biggest difference for me is that I'm not like, well, F it, you know? It's just a shift in thinking, and I am taking it easier on myself. And I'm just so very grateful for that. Is that what I wanted to do? Yes. Well, that's what we're going to do, so stuff it. I wanted to start with different colors first, but whatever. It's going to be a much more colorful look than what I typically do. So, at any rate, going back to the weight loss, I'm not feeling defeated, and I'm not feeling panicked in any way. I'm just feeling like my body has gone through a massive change in the last year and a half. In case you're new, in case this is the first update that you're seeing, I've lost 120 pounds. It's massive. So I'm a lot more forgiving of myself. I'm just being gentle with myself, and that in and of itself is a change. And so I am just along for the ride, you know? Like, I'm really happy to see that I'm able to not go off on a ledge when I'm not losing at the rate that I used to. And of course I'm not going to, because I don't have as much to lose. But I think my body's just adjusting. And I think this is all part of the process. And at some point you are going to stop losing. That's just inevitable. Or else you're going to fade away into nothing. And that's not what I want either. So I'm just sort of viewing this as just a momentary pause. I'm maintaining, I'm adjusting my eating habits again, because now I am able to eat a bit more in terms of volume. And I do have hunger signals again, like I have for probably a year at this point. I think I lasted maybe 5 or 6 months post-surgery where I just never felt hungry. So I'm really just viewing this as just a bit of a break. it's just, I'm guessing this is what quote unquote normal people live like. Like, their weight fluctuates, they're not super obsessed with it. They do their best, but every now and then they eat a burger. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a perfect eater. I'm not. I hesitate to do what I eat in a day kind of videos now because, first of all, I'm not a nutritionist and I really don't want people to view me as some sort of expert because I'm not. Like, if you have dietary concerns, please speak to somebody who is an expert. Don't just rely on YouTube videos. You know what, I can move over here while I'm doing this and I'll just put some pictures of, like, these are just the easy lunch options that I do in terms of pre-prepared meals. We're just going to leave it at that for today. I do still do meal preps, and I will do, I think I've put it in videos before where I'll put into the slow cooker like chicken and corn and black beans and onions and peppers and tomato paste and all that kind of stuff, and basically make, like, it's not really a chili, but like I can eat it just on its own, or I'll put it on like a little, like a really small tortilla and make like a quesadilla out of it. So those are things that I eat frequently. Or I'll make salads. Like, I eat a lot of salads now and I freaking love salad. Like, I buy the pre-mixed, like baby, I buy like usually half and half. So it's like half baby spinach, half spring mix or baby lettuce. And then I'll put some cucumber cut up onto it. And like, I get these, they're from Black Diamond. I don't know what they're called. So I'll use that as a salad topper as well. And then I put a little bit of, usually green goddess dressing is what I really enjoy. So, and then I like shake that all up and that's my lunch. And it's so filling and so good. Like, it satisfies like, there's a little bit of sweet, there's a little bit of salty, there's like, it's so good. So I eat that quite frequently. These are the ones that I go for because not all frozen meals are made the same. And some of them are just loaded with carbs, loaded with sugar, and loaded with fat. And so I've found, and I've spent the time to look at the nutrition information. These are the ones that don't hurt my stomach, give me a ton of protein, and don't have a ton of like fat and extraneous crap in them that I don't want. I've changed my mind on the direction of this. So not only have I not planned out my topics for this video, but I haven't planned out the eye look either. So, seat of the pants, this is what it looks like. And I've changed my mind on what I'm going to do. I was going to put the blue on the inside as well, but I am no longer going to do that. So, here we go. We're just going off the fly here. So, mindset change for sure. Also, huge change for me is that in September, I basically stopped running. It was, you know, the days were getting shorter, kids were back, well, Aspen was back in school, my daughter, and, you know, things were getting busy at work again. Life was starting to slowly get back to normal from earlier lockdown. We're now on lockdown number 4, I think, here in Ontario. Like, it's a disaster. It's a topic for a whole other conversation, but like, Ford needs to get his shit together. That's, there, I said it. Okay, so life was getting busy again, and I let the running go. And I was struggling throughout like August with it because it's so effing hot, and I've discovered that I cannot run in the heat. I just can't do it. So fast forward to mid to late January, and I haven't run in 4 or 5 months at that point. And again, if you're new here, running is something that I took up last spring, and I fell in love with it. I just fell in love with the challenge of it. I fell in love with how accomplished I feel after I finish a run. I had always had this like dream of running 5K back from high school, but I'd never really pursued it. And I managed to accomplish that last summer. And it felt incredible. I remember I cried after the first one. I was just so effing proud of myself that I literally cried when I finished my first 5K. And not because of the physical exertion, which is probably what would have made me cry a few years ago. But I decided towards the end of January, I live in Canada. It's cold 6 months of the year and it's hot the other 6. So there's a very small window of opportunity where it's actually comfortable outside. And I can either only run 3 months of the year, or I can just suck it up and get out there and do it. And it's way easier for me if things are too cold because I can just always add layers, and that's exactly what I did. And I wore fleece-lined leggings, 2 pair. I wore at some points 4 shirts, and I bought a running jacket so it's like cuts out all the wind. I bought like specialized gloves so that they're wind resistant as well, and I'd wear 2 pairs. Although honestly, pro tip, wear a pair of gloves and wear mitts over top. Hands are much warmer that way. Sometimes I would wear like a fleece headband and a hat, and I bought like I only know them as Dickies. I don't know what they're like, if there's any other sporty name for them, but like basically a fake turtleneck that just like, it's like a big long tube basically. So that I could like pull up over my, like, frankly over my nose if I wanted, but I found it hard to breathe that way, but I'd pull it like right up underneath my lower lips just so that wind wasn't getting in my neck. And ultimately I just outfitted myself for the weather and I went out running, and it was -15 some days. I didn't go much colder than that because it's just too hard to breathe, but -15, -10 Celsius. I don't speak American, so I have no idea what the Fahrenheit equivalent is, but I went out there and I did it. And I ran some days when it was actively snowing, and I ran through the snow, like some parts where the snow drifts were. The snow was literally up to my knees, and I trudged my way through it. And I basically just restarted my training program. But I have never been more proud of myself in my life than gearing up and getting my ass out there in -15 weather and doing it. I've never been so proud of myself. And I am now just about completed the 5K training portion of it. But what I did is I downloaded a 10K training app. So that is the ultimate goal, is to be able to run 10K. I've never accomplished that. So that is the big goal for this summer. And one of the other things that I invested in was a treadmill, because while I can gear up for winter, I can only take so much off for summer. And last summer, the heat is what really got me. And so while some people are capable of running in that, I am not one of those people. I tried, holy shit, that's pigmented. It's my first time using this palette. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I would get very lightheaded last summer whenever I tried, so I don't want to pass out. Like, it's not fun, and then I don't end up doing it. So having the treadmill has been amazing. It's so good. And so with that, I'm starting to see the muscle tone coming back again. Oh my God, I'm just so blown away with this eyeshadow. Holy crap, that's pigmented. Wow. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, so I'm doing that again, and the muscle tone's coming back. I can now run 20 minutes at a time, and I'm proud of myself for that. Like, of course, it's easier to sit on the couch and watch TV. Of course that's easier. I don't end up sweating that way. I'm not in any sort of physical pain. I'm not out of breath, but nor do I feel proud of myself for doing so. But huffing it out for, well, about 30 minutes or so with the warming up and the cooling down, I just feel so accomplished at the end and so proud of myself. And so at this point, the number on the scale takes a back seat to what physically I'm able to do. And it's incredible. I think what I'm trying to say is that my mindset has changed in the last 6 months more so than in the rest of this journey. And I'm just so grateful. Dare I try to talk while I'm doing my lips? We're gonna give her a go, but I might need to abort mission. We'll see. Anyways, I want to thank you guys, because so many of you reach out and email and DM and thank me and send me these wonderful messages. And I mean, honestly, I appreciate it. There's really no need to thank me, but I appreciate it. I will say, if you're sending me DMs asking me like medical questions, like you're giving me your symptoms, I can't help you with that, and I wouldn't, so go to your surgeon. Like, I'm glad that you feel free to contact me. I really am. I don't mind that at all, but I'm not going to diagnose you with anything. So if you're having an issue post-surgery, please don't email me. Email your doctor. Like, contact your surgeon, because they are the ones that are trained in all of this. They are the ones that have seen so many people go through this, and they are the ones who can tell what's a red flag and what is normal. I'm not going to weigh in on that. If you have questions about the process in general, what my experience was, anything of that sort, always feel free to DM me through Instagram or email me. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I really appreciate that you guys appreciate this content, because this is really hard. When I was going through the process, or at least at the early stages and really getting close to the surgery date and all of that, I spent a lot of time trying to find people talking about their experiences. And I found some, and I found like a lot of what I eat in a day kind of content, but I couldn't find anybody talking about their experience, like general, actual, how their life has changed, how their like mindset has changed, all of that. I just couldn't find it. And so I figured, this is really hard to do while I'm talking. I figured that because I already had a channel, I knew people are going to see the difference. And so I wanted to share everything with you guys. And for the most part, it has been an incredibly positive experience for me. I really have not had any massive side effects or massive issues. I will just really quickly update. I had done a few videos back in this playlist talking about the negative side effects of the surgery. A lot of those have kind of dissipated for me, particularly the vomiting side of things. I'm really not doing that very often at all anymore. And just to clarify, it's not like when you have the stomach flu and you have that like intense nausea and then everything comes out of your body. It's not like that. It's just basically all like the liquid pops up, or there's a lot of foam coming out, and it's not as forceful as what you might expect from a stomach flu. Things are good. But going forward, I want to continue with the exercise side of things and living an active lifestyle. That was one of the huge goals that I had in doing this surgery. So I'm so glad that I've recommitted myself to running, because it really does bring me a lot of joy. I mean, it's hard, but it brings me a lot of joy. But also, I'm now at the point where I'm talking about plastic surgery. So not necessarily skin removal. I still don't have a huge issue with that, to be honest. Like, I've been very lucky. I don't have a lot of loose skin. On my thighs, like the upper thighs, there's a bit, and certainly there is a bit on my lower stomach, but it's not anything major and nothing that I'm particularly concerned about. But for me, I definitely want a breast reduction and lift. So I'm at that point now, because there has been a definite change in that area. I've gone from an H cup down to a double D, and I basically have some pendulums, shall we say, a little bit on the pancake kind of side. So I definitely want to get that reshaped and done. And that's for me. That's not for anybody else. That's just my own personal comfort. And it's something that I've wanted for years and years and years. And now I'm at the point where I'm ready for that. I think I'm going to document that process as well. I have no idea what the timelines are like on that, but I think I'll probably do a video about that experience as well at some point, whenever it happens. I'm not in a major rush, but I'd like to get the ball rolling towards that. So that's basically it. That's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm sure once I finish recording, I'm going to think of other things, but I can always do another video later. If you have questions, feel free and leave them in the comments down below, and I can do like a Q&A kind of video. So that's it for today. If you're considering the surgery, definitely do your research on it. Speak with your doctor, speak with the surgical team. You have all the way up to the point where they put you out for surgery to change your mind. So gather all the information that you need. Never feel like you absolutely have to go through with it simply because you've done all the lead up to it. If you have questions, if you have concerns and fears about it, more so not from a medical standpoint, but from like a lifestyle standpoint, definitely feel free to reach out and ask me. I'm always happy to take the time to answer those kind of messages. So that's all I've got to share for today. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.